Hi, I'm Wes Groover with AWS Training and Certification. Welcome to Amazon CloudWatch. In this video, we'll give you a brief introduction to the service, go over some common use cases, and then we'll run through a short demo and show you how it works. I've been with AWS for 2 years, and I'm currently responsible for training our enterprise customers on AWS services. As part of the training and certification team, I help our customers better understand how to choose and use our products and services. I teach everything from architecting on AWS to DevOps, as well as security on AWS. In this video, we're going to introduce you to Amazon CloudWatch. Specifically, we're going to give a brief introduction, an overview. We'll go over some common use cases for the product, and then we'll do a short demo and show you how it works. So what is Amazon CloudWatch? At its core, it's simply our monitoring service that allows you to monitor your AWS resources and the applications you run on them in real time. Some Amazon CloudWatch features include collecting and tracking metrics like CPU utilization, data transfer, as well as disk I/O and utilization. We can also monitor services for cloud resources and applications. Additionally, you have the ability to set alarms on any of your metrics that you'll send notifications or take other automated actions. And this is really one of the core features of CloudWatch that makes it an extraordinarily powerful tool. The ability to automatically react to changes. It could send an existing system, application, and custom log files to CloudWatch logs that can be analyzed in near real time. Overall, this allows you to gain a system-wide visibility into your resource utilization, application performance, as well as operational health. Amazon CloudWatch architecture includes resources that support CloudWatch, such as CloudWatch metrics. The basic metrics include metrics such as CPU utilization, as well as status checks. Custom application-specific metrics can also be involved or recorded from available statistics within your application. All these things are reported to the AWS Managed Console. They also can be logged and sent off to trigger an Amazon CloudWatch alarm. The CloudWatch alarm can either send out a notification through email or SMS. Additionally, it has the ability to trigger an auto-scaling event, which, as you're going to see in our demo, is a very powerful service. Some common use cases for CloudWatch, of course, are to respond to your state changes in your AWS resources, automatically invoke a Lambda function to update something such as DNS entries when an event notifies that EC2 instance enters a running state. You could also direct specific API records from CloudTrail to a Kinesis stream for detailed analysis of potential security or availability risks. You also have the ability to take a snapshot of an EBS volume on a schedule, or to log S3 object-level operations using CloudWatch events. Some of the components that make up Amazon CloudWatch include metrics, alarms, events, logs, and dashboards. We're going to talk about each one of these components individually. CloudWatch metrics. This is where the data about the performance of your system comes from. It really represents a time-ordered set of data points that are going to be published to CloudWatch. By default, several services provide free metrics to your resources, things like EC2 instances, EBS volumes, as well as RDS DB instances. But you can additionally publish your own application metrics for an additional fee. All these metrics are loaded into your account for search, graphing, as well as activating alarms later on. CloudWatch alarms watch a single metric. It can perform one or more actions based on the value of that metric relative to the threshold over a number of time periods. So that action can be an EC2 action like stop, start, terminate, reboot. It could be an auto-scaling action like launch an auto-scaling configuration and add more instances to my application pool. Or it can just be a notification sent out via SMS topic. It invokes actions for sustained state changes only. So here's an example of a CloudWatch alarm. Let's say, for instance, you want to track CPU utilization on your EC2 instance. And in this case, if CPU goes over or is greater than 60% for 5 minutes, that's the thresholds that we set. It can trigger things like if an RDS instance, if a number of simultaneous connections is less or greater than 10 for 1 minute. Or if we have we could monitor an elastic load balancer and say if the number of healthy hosts is less than 5 for 10 minutes, then go ahead and trigger an alarm or trigger some action. So the CloudWatch alarms can measure a single metric and perform one or more actions. It could stop, terminate, reboot, or recover an instance. It could scale an auto-scaling group in or out. So remember, we always scale out to meet performance demand, and we scale in to save money. So we want to think of that in terms of going both directions. Or it could just simply send out a message to SNS through email, HTTP, or through SMS to notify you if that an event has occurred. CloudWatch events are your near real-time stream of system events that describe changes within your AWS resources. It uses simple rules to match events and then route them to one or more target functions or streams. It can be aware of operational changes as they occur. It can also respond to operational changes and take corrective action as necessary. Additionally, you can also schedule automated actions that self-trigger at certain times using a cron job or rate expressions. Here's an example of a CloudWatch events. So in this case, how do you detect and automatically revoke unintended IAM access with CloudWatch events? So I have an API action that makes an API call for a certain event. CloudWatch events is going to record that, and it can deliver a rule that matches a Lambda function. In this case, if that particular event for an authorized user happens, we can revoke access for that particular authorized user using a Lambda function. CloudWatch logs. We have a separate video that details CloudWatch logs and goes over CloudWatch logs in much more detail. But basically, you can use CloudWatch logs to monitor and troubleshoot systems and applications using your existing log files. So it can monitor your log files for specific phrases, values, or patterns, retrieve the associated log data from CloudWatch logs, and it all runs based on agents that are installed on the operating system. And of course, we have agents that are compatible with all the supported operating systems within AWS. Amazon CloudWatch log features include the ability to monitor logs from EC2 instances in real time. Additionally, they can monitor AWS CloudTrail events. Remember, CloudTrail events are all API actions that happen within your account, and since everything that basically happens within AWS, whether it's from the console, the CLI, or direct API access, is all API driven. This gives you a full record of who did what when in your environment. So this is very helpful for security and compliance. And of course, you can also archive log data as well for future analysis. Additionally, you can store and monitor your application log files, collect those metrics, and they can be durably stored for a long period of time. They can be visualized by admins through the console, or they can be stored in S3 for access by another service, ingested by another service, or another user or tool. And of course, we can do data processing on that particular solution, look at those through things like a Kinesis stream or AWS Lambda to take further action on that particular metric. Your CloudWatch dashboard is really a customizable homepage within CloudWatch console to monitor your resources in a single pane of glass, if you will. Even those resources that are spread out across different regions can be aggregated in one place. It makes it a lot easier to visualize them. You can create customized views of metrics and alarms for your AWS resources. Each dashboard can display multiple metrics and can be accessorized with text and images at however you desire. You can create dashboards by using the console, the command line interface, or by using the Put Dashboard API. Next, we're going to go into a short demonstration. So in this short demonstration, we're going to show you how to create a CloudWatch events rule. So we start out by going into the CloudWatch dashboards, and we're going to slide down to where it said events, and of course, click rule. The first thing we have to do is step one in creating a rule is to select an event source. In this case, we're also going to do it from an event pattern. This is where you can build a pattern to match the events. Select the service you want to create and add a custom pattern. In this case, we're going to do it as a schedule. So we're going to create a schedule at a fixed rate of every 5 minutes. So it's basically the same syntax. You could also use the same syntax as a cron job if you Linux admins out there are familiar with how to do that. Then we're going to log the state of an EC2 instance using CloudWatch events. So the next step is to create a Lambda function that's going to log the state change of events. So we create a rule to run the Lambda function whenever you launch an EC2 instance. We're going to add a target and then choose that particular function. And for the function, we're going to select Lambda function that we created. Next, we're going to set up a CloudWatch alarm for an EC2 instance. So we're going to set up an alarm actions for the EC2 CloudWatch tabs under the Management Console. And if you see the instances there, there's a drop-down button that says Actions. And in the Actions, we'll go to Alarms. In this case, we're going to create a CloudWatch alarm. And the CloudWatch alarm has several different parameters that we can choose from. But in this case, we're going to set up a notification, call it My Topic, with the recipients there, an email address, what action we're going to take. And then in this case, we're going to use basis metric on CPU utilization and create the alarm. We're also going to add a custom dashboard so that we can, in this case, we're going to call it our CloudWatch blog and create that dashboard so it can display just those alarms that we want to see. In this case, we can do line or stacked area to add in a graph if we wanted to. We could add a number to display that metric on the dashboard, and then a text block on our dashboard itself. So in this brief introduction to Amazon CloudWatch, we've talked about the Amazon CloudWatch core services as well as the AWS resources that support CloudWatch, including standard metrics and custom metrics. We've talked about some of the available statistics within CloudWatch and how they can be displayed through the Amazon CloudWatch Management Console, or they can trigger an Amazon CloudWatch alarm, which in turn can send out an SMS email notification or trigger an auto-scaling event.